In 25, we witnessed probably a few trends that we've been talking about for a while really kind of come to the fore and shine through in terms of loyalty strategy and how we're operating our programs. For me, one of the first things I've seen a lot of activity in is coalitions and partnerships across different loyalty programs. And I feel that in FY25, we saw more of those partnerships really get announced with big marketing budgets behind it to unlock the value of bringing different loyalty programs and different brands together. I mean, even this week, I was getting an Uber in New York, and I was offered to put in my Marriott Bonvoy number. So you can just see that like we continue to see more and more momentum on these partnerships. I'd also say in 25, it was really the year that we saw the full power of Gen Z come to the fore. Gen Z have got this huge, immense purchasing power, and they're just a huge part of the overall industry now. And we saw programs like Pivot to really go deep and try and capture the engagement of those younger customers. Gen Z are the first generation that are truly digitally native. And so we've seen a lot of activity to really get loyalty programs and our brand where those customers are. And, for this generation being so digitally native, those social media platforms are hugely important. So we've seen a lot of engagement in those type of channels as well. Also for those customers, that sense of engagement and community is so important to them. So we've seen some really interesting things about how can we build emotional connections, build this community around our loyalty program or offerings. A really good example of that recently was Pepsi. So their My Music My Way platform, which is where they offered customers to go in and personalize their own songs and do remixes on it. Great engaging platform. But that platform also seamlessly linked into TikTok, so users could share the remixes that they created. And then for that sense of community, they also offered the ability for playlist curation on Spotify that could be shared and people could add to. And so just a really nice way of seeing how do we tap into this new powerhouse generation that's coming through. So yeah, as you said, FY25 was probably when we saw a couple of these big trends that we've been talking about for a while really come to the fore for us in our program.
Looking back at 2025, we saw a lot of brands across different industries either launch programs or relaunch programs, from Alaska with its Atmos program to Subway with bringing back its program in 20 years, and Market Spencer being one more example in the retail front. So 2025 is, in my mind, is a year marked by loyalty being alive and well, and no other dramatic changes other than that.
In 2025, what a year it has been. I think for us, where we look at where we've been driving this business, particularly in the last 2 years here, specifically in the United Arab Emirates, it's about trying to understand where all of the problems sit in loyalty programs across, lots of different verticals. So for us, it's been how do we create one infrastructure that really is solving multiple issues? And I think the biggest opportunity, for 2026 is a global solution that solves all of these issues in one piece of infrastructure, which, as you guys know, this is what we're calling Blackbook. I think also what's also very interesting is the loyalty programs are looking how to create this dynamic capability of interoperability with currency on a day-to-day basis. I love this because it's really about the focus of extending loyalty beyond a traditional vertical. So if you're an airline, it's not just about people getting on your flights, it's about how you remain relevant post a flight or for a hotel post a stay. I love this. I love this. And as a problem for us to solve, it's definitely one of the biggest problems that we're really enjoying helping solve.
Milestones and developments in 2025. First, it's been about programs starting to expand their foray into offering a more personalized program and moving away from very static programs or very defined programs into now giving customers a lot of choice. I think a lot of people have seen what Alaska and Hawaiian have been doing with their Atmos program and how they're giving customers the choice to earn the way they want to. But it's also been interesting to see how programs are evolving the way that they allow their members to burn. And these two things, I think, are quite instrumental in evolving personalization and in making it into a lot more user friendly and a lot more customer friendly and giving customers the choice instead of just enabling personalization for the sake of it. And the second big milestone we've seen is the expansion of partnerships in 2025. And it goes along with giving your customers more choice. And because you want to offer your customers more choice, you need to have more partners to offer customers different ways to interact with the program based on what they want to do. And we've seen this expansion to a lot more local partnerships as well. So airlines partnering with local grocery stores or local retailers so that the interaction becomes a lot more on a day-to-day basis between the member and the program rather than just being during the day of travel and once every 6 months. And so those are the two big things we've seen, and we'll expect them to continue in 2026 as well. And it's quite an exciting time, I think, for loyalty programs as we go into this lot more personalized and almost democratized loyalty programs.
2025, I think, was a very busy year for the industry and for the team. And I think for many, AI is certainly advancing in all aspects of our industry, in our lives, and the meaningful application of the technology will be key to success, not just for us as a technology provider, but for many others in the loyalty industry. Meaningful, I say that because I think it will need to address certain conditions, such as commercial viability, security, trust, and finding answers to that questions, I think, will be the most important task for all of us playing in that field. We here at IBS, we made substantial progress in that area, in applying the technology, leveraging the technology, and that spans from the core operational improvements onto customer applications that we have launched in the market in the last year. So that's a journey that has started, which we are proud of. But also, I think, a journey that will have to continue in the next system. And another highlight, of course, were successful customer implementations across the regions. We had a go live in Australia with an OTA called Luxury Escapes. Emirates is certainly a very noteworthy highlight for the team in 2025. Where we deployed our platform successfully. So it's been a good year, and we all hope that 2026 is going to be better.
Well, 2025 was a year of a lot of acceleration and ecosystemization and a lot of personalization because loyalty moved beyond being more like just a program into becoming a platform and an ecosystem. So that I think that the most relevant milestones are that the 360 loyalty ecosystems became the most dominant model. Also that the gamification changed because it evolved from a tactic into a core mechanic. This made it like creating a higher frequency and more emotional connection into a habit building inside of the loyalty programs. And the AI powered the hyper personalization with the historical movements. These moved like to a scale to real-time decisioning, not more like a manual part. And that the points are started acting as a digital currency. That is a trend that we see that is coming also in 2026, but it has happened before in 2025. And also that the experiential and lifestyle rewards increase significantly, because the clients and the customers want different rewards than just points. They want more of experiences and loyalty.
Yeah, I think 2025 will be remembered as the year we saw AI's great promise, but also its great pitfall, especially in loyalty. We watched brands race to deploy AI-powered personalization engines. I think about chat bots, predictive models, and more. Many of them worked brilliantly from a technical standpoint, but I think what became clear is that technology without the right strategic intent creates noise and not the connection that we're seeking. So some examples, I think customers began pushing back against experiences that felt manufactured rather than really genuinely personal. And they could tell the difference between a brand that simply knows their purchase history and one that actually understands what matters to them. And you asked about a milestone. So I think about a milestone that matters most. Brands that succeeded in 2025 were the ones who used AI as a tool to create space for more meaningful human experiences rather than replacing those human experiences. They would have used data to identify moments that mattered to their customers and then deliver something that truly felt personal to their customer. And I think what we're seeing is a recalibration. Marketers are learning that sustainable loyalty isn't built on efficiency alone. It's built on making people feel genuinely seen and valued in ways that resonate on a deeper level.
I think what's really interesting is what happened in 2025 was the result of a lot of work that's been happening over the years. We've seen a huge amount of miles and points being pushed out into the market as programs have got bigger, as they've got better engagement. And what that has done is it has made a huge amount of money that these currencies represent that are now sitting in all of these people's accounts as people get used to them. So the developments that spin off of that are everything from how do you get that liability off your balance sheet and turn it into profit and loss? So instant rewards, the whole movement to tier point recognition being based on spend. So a whole load of those developments have all come together in 2025.
One of the biggest trends that we saw in 2025, which is probably a different trend than a lot of other loyalty professionals are seeing, just because of the nature of work we do, which is really on the finance side of the house, really was that all the program changes that programs have been making over the past several years are now starting to catch up with them, in the sense that they're seeing redemption behavior change, they're seeing breakage change. And that drives a lot of financial volatility, right? Because they weren't expecting to see that change. They hadn't explicitly forecasted how those program changes were to impact the balance sheet, the liability, the P&L. And so as they're seeing redemptions come in higher than expected, that changes breakage, and that has all kinds of downstream financial impacts. And so that was a big trend, was now loyalty programs realizing, hey, we need to really get a handle on what this means for breakage, so that we can forecast things more accurately for our CFO. Because at the end of the day, the CFO wants stable, accurate and predictable financial results. And a lot of times these changes in the program are causing volatility, which is really the exact opposite of that. By no means does that mean these changes are bad. It's really just a financial planning thing that needs to be resolved. I'm very confident these program changes are net positive ROI efforts. We just need to get better at financial planning.
Yeah, well, there are quite a few things going on in the loyalty space. I think the one that stands out the most was this definite move, not just by a small group of airline loyalty programs, but really a trend now seeing of everybody going towards a spend-based program. And I think that's pretty much here to stay. Let's see where that lands, though, because we saw some big pushbacks from customer groups saying, devaluation or making it harder to achieve certain tiers and statuses. So, the verdict's out whether that's a good thing, but I think it is inevitable that was going to happen. I think in other spaces we've probably seen a little bit more tinkering with retail, and I think a few key partnerships, but nothing too distinct. The one that stands out for me was this spend-based change.